already, but can you talk about some of the socio-political issues that you value as a teacher that you have described?
So I'm putting together my exam list going into my third year, and my field is going to be social justice literature, specifically looking at like the African in America, because my dad is Nigerian and my mom is African American, but I was like raised by my stepdad who's white American. So there's a lot of things at play, and I'm just like, global and cosmopolitan issues are really important to me, and I want to show people how, you know, like I've lived in Honduras, Israel, Germany, and my husband's German, and so that like our identity, like, but I identify as Black American, but that doesn't limit me, if that makes sense. Like, that doesn't mean that I can't do certain things because they're not stereotypical Black American woman things to do, like travel or know German or like my friend I was telling you about, like, she didn't grow up poor. She's Black American woman too. And so people in our department are like, well, you're not really Black. And like, we're just having to contend with like so many different levels of ignorance that it's exhausting sometimes. But the cool thing about being in the classroom is that you are the authority. Like, even if we want to decenter power and I want to have a student-centered classroom, like at the end of the day, I still hold authority in the classroom, that can't be vanquished as long as we have grades. Like, as long as I'm the one looking at their papers, marking them up, and assessing them against this rubric, there's still some power that I have. And so I am like just trying to use that to promote good things, right? Like to promote equity. And so that means that I have to be dedicated to equity, because I don't want to get in there and make a fool of myself in front of my students when we're talking about things like gun control or in 13th, you know, the mass incarceration rates. And we watched another documentary called Peace Officer, and it's about the militarization of the police force in the United States. And then, you know, my sister is actually a police officer in Dallas. And so I'm going to have her come in and like talk to the class about, I asked her to watch the documentary, and she's going to come in and talk to the class about it. And it's just like, I just think showing things to the students that they may not necessarily think are normal helps break down barriers that they maybe don't even know that they have. But as I said, the undergrads aren't where I see a lot of the issues lying. But I've only had 2 classes. I've only had 40 of them, so I can't speak to that very completely.
Okay. And so just, I feel like you just answered this, but just to clarify, has there been a time that you've experienced racism or sexism in your role as a GTA?
No, I wouldn't say from my undergrads, but definitely as a graduate student.
Okay.
Yeah, like, we took a class called Protest and Violence, and we were looking at like the 1960s. And we're reading like, I don't even remember. It was by Hannah Arendt. And she's basically saying that Black students who are clamoring to get into the university have no place there. They haven't earned it. And we get to class, and I'm like waiting for the people who are like presenting on this to bring it up. And I'm like, why are we reading this stuff? Like, she's insulting Black people, and no one is even like ready to talk about that. And then the professor is like, yeah, I don't know. It's a thing in the academy. Do we do we use the good of someone's theory, even if they say something bad? And then I have to like study Heidegger and Hegel in my critical theory class. And I'm like, why do I have to sit here and study this? And there's no Black person on the critical theory list. And it's modern critical theory, like 20th century. I'm like, there's plenty of Black theorists in 20th century. And my friend who I was telling you about, she was also in that protest and violence class. And it was just like every class period, almost, it seemed like we were just fighting to just